Good evening. Welcome to the. Oh, there she is. Good. She's in time. Welcome to the City of Hialeah Planning and Zoning Board meeting for Wednesday, September 20th, 2023. Everyone, please rise for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. Lord, thank you for the opportunity to grant us today, the city. Please grant us wisdom and allow us to do the right decision for us to be our constituents. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. So many people in the audience. You figure somebody must have brought dinner or something.
Meeting guidelines. The following guidelines apply to today's Planning and Zoning Board meeting. Any person, whether participating via the web platform, telephonic conferencing, or physical presence at City Hall, interested in making comments or posing questions on any item on the agenda may do so during the meeting. Members of the public may hear the meeting live through telephonic conferencing using any telephone or cellular phone services. A smart device or computer are not necessary to participate in the meeting if you join by phone. All persons participating via the web platform will be muted during the meeting until called upon to be heard. Participation through Zoom requires a computer or smart mobile device with a camera and a microphone. The participant may elect to participate in the meeting using audio only or appear through both audio and video. The video function of all participants appearing through video will be turned off to be called upon to be heard. Excuse me, sorry. All lobbyists must register with the Planning and Zoning prior to the item being heard. A maximum of 4 speakers in favor and 4 speakers in opposition will be allowed to address the Planning and Zoning Board on any item. Each speaker's comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Item number 1, roll call. Mr. D. Perez.
Here.
Mr. Ramon.
Here.
Mr. Iglesias.
Here.
Mr. Jimenez.
Here.
Mr. Ulloa.
Here.
Mr. Casanova is absent. Mrs. Enriquez. Here. We have a quorum. Item number 2. Approval of Planning and Zoning Board summary agenda of September 6, 2023 as submitted.
We need a motion, please.
Second that motion.
Motion by Mr. Ulloa, second by Mr. Iglesias and Mr. Ramon. Mr. D. Perez.
Yes.
Mrs. Enriquez.
Yes.
Mr. Ulloa.
Yes.
Mr. Jimenez.
Yes.
Mr. Iglesias.
Yes.
Mr. Ramon.
Yes.
Item has been approved. Administration of oath to all applicants and anyone who will be speaking before the board on any item.
Anyone that's going to speak in front of the board, either electronically or personally, please stand, raise your right hand so we can swear you in. Si ustedes van a prestar testamento frente a nosotros, por favor, necesitan jurar.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth before this board?
Thank you. Let the record show the answer was on there for a minute. We have tonight's meeting is composed of 2 meetings. One item, one very short item, which is the Board of Adjustments. And then we will close that. No, we'll just do it as one.
Yeah, we're doing this one.
Meeting, but there is a meeting that is companion to other meetings. So this first item number 3, we will directly. Item number 3 is a companion item of other meetings, of other items that are already going to be considered by the council at the next Tuesday. So we are rushing this one so it can be heard next Tuesday, September 26th, and the other ones are following like the normal procedure and are going to October 10th.
So this one, we're just going to treat it as a regular PNC.
It's a regular PNC,
Okay.
but we have to say it when to city council.
Take it back. Alrighty. Proceed.
A written decision and resolution will be prepared and presented for review to the city council. The city council is authorized to affirm with conditions or override the decisions by resolution. After the resolution is adopted, contact the member of the city clerk's office. to obtain a copy of the final decision and resolution. Upon your receipt of the final decision and resolution, contact the building department to obtain your required building permit. Summary minutes or a copy of the audio file of the proceedings before the Planning and Zoning Board shall be prepared and submitted to the City Council before its hearing. The Planning and Zoning Board recommendations for the following public hearing requests will be heard by the City Council at its scheduled meeting of Tuesday, September 26, 2023. Item number 3, petition to close, vacate, and abandon a portion of the public right-of-way located on the east end of Park Drive, Hiawatha Drive, and west of Southeast 8th Court between Lot 8, Block 3, and Lot 1 through 4, Block 2 of the 36th Street lawns, according to Plat Book 24-38 of the Public Records of Miami-Dade County. Applicant Felix M. Lazarte, Esquire.
Felix, are you, I don't see you. Are you on Zoom? No?
Okay,
Okay, so
let
you
me
can-
read and I will explain. The petition to close, vacate, and abandon a portion of the public right-of-way located on the east end of Park Drive and west of this court is related to the consolidation of parcels aimed to the redevelopment of the site located at the northeast corner of Okeechobee Road and Lejeune Road. The subject portion of right-of-way will become part of the surface parking lot planned for the proposed Navarro Pharmacy that will replace an existing motel and automotive use business. The Streets and Public Works Department reviewed the petitions and discussed requirements with the applicant, such as the extension and connection of an existing stormwater exfiltration trench system, the removal of 2 drain structures, and the relocation of a street light. The petition is recommended for approval, and compliance with requirements will be checked by all city departments during concurrency and site plan review. The recommendation is approval. So
Thank you.
remember that at the last meeting, you approved the land use
Right.
and rezoning. So now this is part of the same thing, and it's coming like in chapters, because on last Tuesday, the city council approved the sub of land that was necessary for this to become a reality. So now this is the part where we need to close and abandon a little portion of the right of way.
Deborah,
Yes.
his associates asked if you can push this to the end.
What?
His associate has asked if you can push this to the end.
Okay, so we are leaving this in standby because the applicant wants to be here and he's not here yet. 5
If
minutes.
we can push it to the
Okay.
end.
Okay,
Okay.
we'll push it
Yeah,
to the end.
We can
Okay.
put it to the end.
We've already read the recommendations, so we
Yeah,
don't have to reread it.
Okay.
all righty. We can put it aside there.
The Planning and Zoning Board recommendations for the following public hearing requests will be heard by the City Council at its scheduled meeting of Tuesday, October 10th, 2023. Item number 4, petition to close, vacate, and abandon a portion of the right-of-way adjacent to the west and southwest boundaries of the property located at 701 East 55th Street in accordance with a sketch and legal description dated May 5th, 2023, signed and sealed by Aduro R. Toyrak, PSM, applicant George J. Claro.
The property in this application is a single-family home located at the northeast intersection of East 55th Street and East 7th Avenue. The applicant applied for a building permit to replace an existing fence, and it came to staff's attention that what was improved on site as the applicant's yard adjacent to the existing sidewalk was a narrow strip of right-of-way. Upon review, the Streets Department recommended that this narrow strip of land be vacated and abandoned for public use to correct the existing error where the sidewalk was not built at the property line. Recommendation is approval.
Is the applicant present?
This is more like it was like a staff issue. The applicant, I think, is very old and they were just replacing the fence, and this is like a minimum strip. So what we are doing here is trying to solve this issue, to approve their fence, and
So this can be considered more a housekeeping.
exactly, yes, yes. It's the fence here, yes.
It's on the
yes.
sidewalk.
The fence is on the sidewalk, yes. No, but that is their sidewalk. There is a little bit of grass. The Streets Department brought these to us and they are the ones that are recommending that we approve this. Look, it's this. It's this portion.
Yeah, it's pretty much a picture. If you Google the address, you see it. The picture, they take the fence on that or la meten and they put cement on the other side. It's like- Oh, sorry. It looks like the fence is actually on the sidewalk. From what I see, I don't know.
Yeah, but apparently it has been like that for many years. So to solve the issue, the streets department recommended that we abandon that portion.
Okay.
Okay, any comments or questions? Anyone in the audience have a comment or question? Anyone in the electronic audience? Close to the public hearing. What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Mr. Iglesias, second by Mr. Gamon. Mr. Jimenez,
Yes.
Mr. D. Perez,
Yes.
Mrs. Enriquez,
Yes.
Mr. Ulloa.
Yeah.
Mr. Gamon,
Yes.
Mr. Iglesias.
Yes.
Item has been approved. Item number 5, rezoning property from R1 one family district to R3 multiple family residential district. Variance permit to allow the expansion of a legal non-conforming use of an existing church solely congregating on the weekend with 28 parking spaces where 76 parking spaces are required for the use of the church. Conditional use permit to allow a kindergarten to 5th grade elementary school at the church on weekdays with a maximum capacity of 79 students in conjunction with a daycare with a capacity of 41 children in compliance with parking and stacking requirements. Property is located at 6491 West Second Avenue, Hialeah zoned R1 one family district. Applicant Cesar Masray Esquire.
Good afternoon, Cesar Mestre. Offices at 8105 Northwest 155th Street, Miami Lakes, Florida.
Thank you, sir.
The property in this application is located on the east side of West Second Avenue between West 65th Street and West 64th Street, across the street from the Amelia Earhart Park. The property takes 75% of the block, which has 2 single-family homes on the east end fronting West First Court. The property has major institutional land use and R1 zoning. The property is improved with a church built in 1955 with an addition for Sunday school facilities built in 1960 and has an area of 8,822 square feet. The building has its principal frontage on West Second Avenue and a 28-stall parking lot at the rear. The right-of-way along 65th Street north of the sidewalk has a vehicular lane adjacent to the subject property that is separated by a landscape median from the traffic lanes. Oblique backup parking takes place along the West Second Avenue and West 64th Street frontages. The existing parking count is not conforming since under current regulations, the church would require 76 parking spaces. The property has had a daycare since 1992, operating in what originally was the Sunday school, and over time, elementary school classes were added without establishing the elementary school use with a change of use building permit and without obtaining a school occupational license. At this time, the applicant is before the city requesting a conditional use permit to allow a K through 5th grade elementary school with a maximum capacity of 79 students in conjunction with a 41 children daycare. The daycare and school will have 18 staff members. The church will only hold services on weekends and will have 2 staff members on site during the week. The daycare, with its share of common area with the school, will occupy 3,299 square feet, requiring 9 parking spaces, and the school will occupy 2,485 square feet, requiring 13 parking spaces. The church occupies 3,038 square feet, requiring 76 parking spaces. The existing parking lot has 26 regular parking spaces, stalls, and 2 accessible parking spaces. Since the daycare, school use and church do not overlap, the parking requirement is based on the use that requires the greatest number of parking spaces, that is the church. Accordingly, a variance is being requested to allow 28 parking spaces where 76 parking spaces are required. Contrary to what the submitted plans show, all parking spaces except 3, including 2 accessible parking spaces, will be assigned to staff and only 4 stacking spaces fit within the property. A 79-student elementary school requires 10 stacking spaces, and 4 parking spaces are adequate for a maximum of 25 students. One alternative to make this plan work is that the elementary school drop-off be organized in 3 shifts with no more than 25 students on each shift, and parents bringing their children to the daycare, park on the street, and walk their children to the building. To make on-street parking safe, the existing on-street backout parking will need to be eliminated and replaced with parallel parking. This improvement will need to be funded by the applicant and permitted through the Streets Department with signs installed on the street as recommended by the Streets Department. In addition, it will be imperative to assign 2 staff members to supervise and control traffic at drop-off times. The focus is on drop-off time since the submitted letter of intent states that a significant number of students stay at school for after-school care. However, it should be implemented at pickup time if necessary. Another alternative would be to reduce the number of students to 25 for consistency with the available stacking spaces and to free up some of the parking lot parking spaces. The intensification of the use will also require a 6-feet concrete wall along the property line adjacent to existing single-family home for purposes of complying with the separation of the similar uses. Other improvements, including but not limited to bollards along the perimeter of the playgrounds facing the streets and the parking lot, and a dumpster enclosure will be required. As for the rezoning from R1 to R3, it is necessary because schools are first allowed on R3 zone. In light of these considerations, the expansion of the non-conforming use, rezoning, conditional use permit, and parking variances may be approved subject to the following conditions. Drop-off shift with a maximum of 25 students per shift. Minimum of 2 staff members to supervise the drop-off process. Staff members to supervise the pickup process if necessary. Reconfiguration of on-street parking from back out to parallel along West 2nd Avenue and West 64th Street. 6 feet concrete wall along the east property line. Bollards along playgrounds facing right-of-ways. Dumpster enclosure. No overlapping of school hours and after-school hours with church services. School daycare to operate on weekdays from 8:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. and aftercare from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. with only 2 church staff members present on premises at this time. Church services to be held exclusively on weekends. Recommendation: approve expansion of non-conforming use, rezoning, variances, and conditional use permits subject to conditions.
Thank you. Mr. Mestre.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
It's a laundry full list there.
Good afternoon again. With me online are the owners of the daycare, Vivian Gracia and Jessica Alonso, in case you have any questions. I'll start this by pointing out, as Deborah said, that there has been a church there since 1955 and a daycare since 1992. Since 1992, it's been the same owners. It's a family operation. It's actually a former Hialeah police officer, his wife, and now his daughter is running the daycare school. As you've heard many times before, the daycare started back in 1992. Over the years, they added grades. They didn't know they were supposed to come in for a conditional use permit, and that's what triggered them to be here today. The church, which has been in existence since 1955, is short parking. I guess for some reason back then they needed less parking. That's why they're short of parking. But we are here because of the school and the daycare. Let me show the slides. There we go.
Not showing. It's only the front page.
Not showing.
It's not showing. But I think we can go forward without it anyway. It's 3/4 of the block. It's a large area. And I'll tell you that we are okay with the conditions with a little tweaking here and there. As I said before, it's been in existence for 31 years. It is there?
It's working now.
Okay.
Can you
What's
share?
that?
No.
It's better when I stay home and do it from home.
There you go.
Now I have an excuse. This is the property. As you can see, this is the entire block. Except they occupy the whole block except for the two houses that are located to the east at West First Court. And they go on West Second Avenue. Around the perimeter, you will see that there's cars parked there at angles. One of the conditions is that we get rid of that angle parking and that we convert it to parallel parking and that we pay for it. And we're okay with that condition. Next slide. Show you that this is the land use it has is major institutions. The rest is residential. To the north is Amelia Earhart Park. And the darker color there, the red, is the multifamily units that are located there in that corner. Next slide. Next slide. This is basically the layout of the church and the parking. As you see on West 65th Street, there is, I guess at one point, this was the way that people would get to the church and the school or the church. But now that's not really used. And you'll see that the stacking of the cars are in the parking lot. But I wanted to bring to your attention that if needed, that other area is there as well. I'll show you some pictures in a little bit. Next slide. This is the existing breakdown of the school. As you can see, the middle section is the church section. Next slide. It shows you the proposed breakdown of the classrooms and the daycare. Next slide. The next one. This is the area I was telling you about that we don't have it used in the plans, but it just to show that it is available. It's not being used. It will be a perfect place to add some more stacking
Well,
of cars.
that is not within your property. That is the right of way in Miami-Dade County right of way. So that should stay as it is because the traffic on 68th Street there is very quick. So it's good to have that just in case that there is an ambulance or some kind of emergency of someone coming to the school. So that is, it should not be part of the pickup
Understood.
and drop-off.
And then there's some more photographs of the parking lot. Next one, the next one. The next one is the view from the south to the north. The next one is also the same thing, the parking lot going all the way to 65th Street. And then some more photographs showing the perimeter of the building. Like I said before, this is the angle parking that is going to be done away with. So in essence, what we're saying is that we agree with the conditions that staff has put forward with a couple of little tweaks. The drop-off shifts, we don't have a problem with that. We will stagger the arrivals and the dismissal. This school, this daycare school, like many in Hialeah, the majority of the kids don't leave. At 3:20, when the bell rings, these kids don't leave. Most of them stay for after school there on the premises because mom and dad work and they can't come and pick them up. But the ones that do leave, we will make sure that we stagger so that we don't have a problem with the parking. The staff members to supervise the pickup if necessary, that's not a problem. Reconfiguring the street parking to parallel on West Second Avenue and West 64th Street, we agreed to do that and pay for that. The 6-foot concrete wall along the east property line. I looked on Google Earth and I believe there's something there, but we agree that if there's not, we will build that to make sure that we don't bother the neighbors. The bollards along the playground facing the streets or the right of ways, that's fine. The dumpster enclosure, we realize that that's required by code and we will gladly do that. The no overlapping of school hours and daycare with church services is okay. However, the daycare operates from 6:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m.
Okay.
And the school is from 8:30 to 3. As most churches, I believe that they do have some type of meetings, maybe once a week during a weekday at 8 o'clock. So I just want to make sure that we don't try to prevent them from doing that.
Yeah, or weekdays, we can put our weekdays after school hours.
After, correct, that's fine. So that is the only tweak that I wanted. Other than that, we are in agreement with all of the conditions, the list of conditions. So we would respectfully ask for a recommendation of approval. As I said, the owners are online. If you have any questions, they'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you.
Can you repeat the hours of operation? The school is from 8:30 to 3 p.m.
Correct.
And the aftercare from
6:30 to
6.
6:30, 6:30 a.m.
Yeah,
to 6:30 p.m.,
okay.
12 hours. And of course, we will be proffering a declaration of restrictions, hopefully before the next meeting, if there's a recommendation of approval.
Alex, did you have a question? Okay. Thank you. Comments, or questions?
Through the chair.
Sir?
Deborah, I have a quick question. Why get rid of the angle parking?
Because the back out parking is dangerous. You back out, there is a kid walking there and you don't see it. But with the parallel parking, it's easier. You go forward, so you don't have that situation of backing up.
And you're going to see that a lot before you, because I think a lot of the parking that was approved before was angled or back out parking.
Well, most of the back out parking that you see around the city is illegal, because when you look at the microfilms, everything was done correctly with parallel or perpendicular parking. But then I don't know what happened, and everyone decided that it was better to have more parking and to back out into the street. But there are many accidents because of that.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
Is there any way that this could be integrated into the use?
That is not their property. That is right of way. That is Miami-Dade County right of way.
But I wouldn't see anybody actually using.
Well, they will need to go and to ask the county for a permit. So for the purpose of expediting
Right.
this, and also it's not that this goes inside the property. You have this and then you have.
You have to come back out
You
to
have
the street,
go out
right.
and enter the
Right.
property. It's not that was done probably for a bus stop or for something like that.
It seems like a safer way to drop off the children, to me at least. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong.
But the main entrance of the school is not there. The main entrance the main entrance to the school is on the parking lot.
Be a great idea if you could.
Yeah, when I went there and I took the
No,
pictures,
and also if you have cars there backing out, they will interrupt the flow of traffic on 68th Street. So it's better to do everything inside.
Okay.
Something to consider.
no,
Thank you, John. Any more comments? Anyone in the audience have a comment or question on this item? ¿Alguien tiene un comentario para este caso? Anyone in the electronic audience? Okay. What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve
Second.
with condition. This
With
condition.
Motion by Mr. Ramon, second by Mr. Jimenez. Mr. Uribe,
Yes.
Mr. D. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Ramon,
yes,
Mrs. Enriquez.
Yes.
Mr. Iglesias,
Yes.
Mr. Jimenez.
Yes.
Item has been approved with conditions.
thank you.
Item number 6, rezoning property from R1 one family district to R3 multiple family residential district. Conditional use permit to allow a kindergarten to 5th grade elementary school on a freestanding campus setting property with a maximum capacity of 71 students in conjunction with a daycare with a capacity of 199 children. Property is located at 21 East 59th Street, Hialeah zoned R1 one family district. Applicant Cesar Mestre Esquire.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Cesar Mestre with offices at 8105 Northwest 155th Street, Miami Lakes, Florida.
Thank you, sir.
The property in this application is located at the northeast corner of Palm Avenue and East 59th Street. It is a 0.84 acre site with major institution land use and R1 zoning. The rest of the block has low density residential land use and R1 zone. The north and east sides of the property are adjacent to single family homes. The submitted plans show a 10-foot alley lying north of the property. However, said alley is closed and incorporated into the adjacent properties. The property was originally built in 1944 as a single-family home fronting Palm Avenue with a 127 feet front setback improved with a lengthy circular driveway. In 1965, the property was granted a variance to allow the operation of a child nursery on property zoned R1 under Ordinance 1753. In 2008, the property owner who acquired the property in 2004 came before the city with a proposal to redevelop the site with a new daycare facility and was granted a conditional use permit and special use permit to allow a 240 children daycare through Ordinance 0888. In that same process, the owner was allowed to temporarily have a modular building on site for a period of 1 year for a classroom. The property was never redeveloped as presented in 2008, and the trailer classroom is still on the site. The site does not have on-site parking, and all parking takes place on the 59th Street swale area in the form of backout parking and informally within the front setback. The swale area on East 59th Street is entirely eroded with no vestige of what was once a grassed area. At this time, the applicant is before the city with a redevelopment proposal to build a daycare and school on this freestanding 0.84 acre site, including a new 15,370 square feet two-story building and adjacent covered parking to improve with a 6,917 square feet playground above, and additional uncovered surface parking. To be able to redevelop the site as proposed, the applicant is requesting rezoning from R1 to R3 and a conditional use permit to allow a K through 5th grade elementary school with a maximum capacity of 71 students in conjunction with a 199 children daycare. The reconstruction of the swale area with grass, landscape, and a few parallel parking spaces is also part of the proposal. The two-story building is proposed to be located at the west end of the property and the parking at the rear next to adjacent single-family homes. Apart from the playground above the covered parking, an additional playground is proposed on the north side of the property. The required 6-foot concrete wall separating the similar uses is not shown in the plans. The site complies with all other zoning regulations, including parking and car stacking. The proposed two-story contemporary institutional look building stands out in the low-density residential neighborhood, generally improved with one-story single-family homes. Same with the proposed light blue and gray colors that contrast the existing light color palette in the neighborhood. The intensity of the proposed use, including the 270 total children and student population, will also impact the adjacent neighborhood. Given that in 2008, the property was already granted a variance to allow a daycare with 240 students, it is recommended that the student capacity be limited to 240 students, including daycare and school operation, instead of the proposed 270 children and student capacity. For compatibility with the neighborhood, it is strongly recommended a change in the color palette to a light neutral color such as white or light earth tone. The requested rezoning from R1 to R3 may be approved since schools are first allowed in R3 zoning. Alternatively, a special use permit to allow a daycare and school on property zone R1 may be considered as a way to avoid the introduction of multifamily zoning in an area that is consistently zoned R1. The conditional use permit may be approved with the following conditions: total children and student capacity to be limited to 240 students. Building colors to be changed as recommended. Illegal classroom trailer to be removed immediately. Swale area parking to be seized immediately. Proposed redevelopment of the site to get completed in a period not to exceed 2 years. 6 feet CBS wall and dense landscaping to be provided along the north and east property lines. Recommendation: approve conditions, approve rezoning, or alternatively approve a special use permit and approve conditional use permit with conditions.
Thank you, Mrs. Storch. We do have a letter that was sent in opposition, signed by several neighbors, so we need to read that into the record, please.
This letter was sent by Silvino Monteagudo. Property address 41 East 59th Street, Hialeah, Florida, 33013. Dear sirs or madam, I am writing to express my strong opposition to proposed expansion of Children's Paradise Learning located at 21 East 59th Street, Hialeah, Florida 33013, for several compelling reasons. While I understand the importance of education and school improvements, the potential consequences of this expansion on our community, particularly in terms of traffic, parking, and noise, cannot be overlooked. First and foremost, the increased traffic that the expansion will bring to our neighborhood is a matter of grave concern. Our streets are already congested during peak hours, and adding more students, parents, and staff to the school would undoubtedly exacerbate this situation. This not only possesses a safety risk to our residents, but also results in longer commutes and reduced quality of life for anyone in the area. Furthermore, the issue of parking cannot be underestimated. Limited parking spaces are already a daily struggle for residents, and with the expansion, it is likely to become even more challenging. This will lead to increased competition for parking spots, potential violations, and unnecessary stress for those who call this neighborhood home. Lastly, the anticipated increase in noise levels due to the expansion is significant concern. Our neighborhood is cherished for its peace and tranquility, and the added noise from a larger school will definitely disrupt this harmony. It may also negatively impact property values and the overall quality of life for residents whom have lived in this neighborhood in excess of 30 years, especially for those living in close proximity. In conclusion, while I support the improvement of educational facilities, I urge you to oppose the expansion of Children's Paradise Learning in light of the serious implications it holds for our community/neighborhood. Addressing the concerns related to traffic, parking, and noise should be a priority to ensure the well-being of our neighborhood while maintaining focus that the residents' way of life is not compromised. Sincerely, Silvino Monteagudo.
Thank you. Mr. Mestre.
Yes, sir. Thank you. With me today is our design professional, Carlos Cardozo, and one of the owners, Donaiki Miranda, available for any questions. We have a small presentation that I'd like to start.
Okay, just for the record, before you start, there are
22 signatures.
like 2 pages of signature.
Yes, I'd receive a copy.
You have
Thank
a
Yeah.
copy of this? Okay.
Yeah. And at
But
this,
for the record, for the audience.
Yeah. at this time, for the record, I'd like to submit 185 letters in support of what we were asking for. I didn't have time to make copies.
Thank you. I know.
You got to read every one of them now.
Can we order out?
Hey, believe it or not, that was my first comment to the audience. There's no dinner tonight.
Okay, next slide, please. Next slide. Okay. I want to remind you what staff told you, that there has been a daycare at this location since 1965. Okay. My client bought the property in 2004. And in 2008, she came before the Planning and Zoning Board and the council. And what you see up there is the result of that application, ordinance number 0888, which granted her a special use permit to have a daycare of 240 children. One of the conditions that Deborah had on her recommendations is that we reduce our ask from 270 to 240. And we are in compliance with that. We agree with that, 240. So we're not asking for any expansion, same amount of kids as were okayed back in 2008. In 2008, like I said, my client came here and asked and received permission to have a 240 children daycare. She was going to demolish the house that was built in 1944, and she was going to build a really nice big daycare. Unfortunately, 2008, when she had her financing and everything in order, as many banks did, they called her up and said, we're not doing this because this was in the middle of the bust in real estate. So her financing fell through. She was left with no recourse and she was unable to do it. Now she has the financing in place. She did, as many other, as I just told you, as the one before, over the years, added grades as the parents were asking her to please add a grade so my kids can stay here, add a grade so my kids can stay here. In preparation for this today, it's funny, my assistant tells me, oh, I went to that. I attended that institution, and she's now 28 years old. So it's been around for a long time. This ordinance says very specifically 240 children, which we are in agreement with. I'll go quickly through the record, through the conditions and let you know where we are with those. And I'll tell you that I have been involved with trying to bring this application forward, and we've been working with staff, I would say, for at least 2.5 years, if not more. We've had some things that we've proposed, they didn't pan out. We proposed other ones that didn't pan out. So finally, we're here with some conditions. It seems to be condition night, but that's okay, because it gives us a way to accomplish what we want, what staff is recommending, and what we believe is in the best interest of the neighborhood. So regarding the conditions, the 240, as I said, not 270. We're okay with that. And that's the same number that was already granted in 2008. Changing the colors, I think we're okay with that. You'll see the colors in a little bit when they show you the design, but that was just for demonstrative purposes. We'll be happy to put whatever color staff would like us to do. As part of her 2008 approval, she was allowed to bring a trailer and have a classroom in that trailer. That trailer's been there now for 15 years. We don't have a problem getting rid of the classroom in the trailer as soon as she can get her permits. So when we finish this, we get permits, classrooms out. Luckily, she owns other schools, and she's going to be able to take all the children from here, temporarily put them in the other school, and then do this project and then bring the children back. The only thing is that we want to use the trailer as a construction office during the construction.
You will have to pull permits because that trailer never had permits. So they will need to pull permits for a temporary trailer when they come to pull the permits for the construction of the school.
Okay. I think she was permits. Okay, so as long as we have permits,
Okay.
we'll be okay.
Yeah.
And we will, as soon as we get the permit, we promise no classroom in there. It's gone. The parking in the swell area. If you go to the next slide, the next one after that, one more. No, I wanted to show something else. On the corner on Palm Avenue,
So this one.
the house that was built there in 1944 had a big circular driveway and a big tree. And it's gated off and there's grass in there. And what they've been doing is they try to have their staff park in there. So we will make sure that none of our folks park on the swell area. She's telling me a lot of the people that park there appear to be some of the neighbors. So whatever happens with that, but we will make sure that our staff and our parents do not, and we'll use the corner in the meantime. 2 years to complete the redevelopment is not a problem. We agreed to abide by that timeline. Should be more than enough time. And the 6-foot CBS wall to the north and the east with dense landscaping, that is fine. We understand. Like I said, we want to try to minimize the effect that we have on the neighbors. So that is okay. So taking into consideration that we agree with those conditions, I will have Mr. Cardozo come up and explain to you the design. I can tell you that I'm pretty excited about it because I think it's pretty cool. So I'll have him come up and explain the design and how he arrived at that.
Before you start, what I want to explain well is my recommendation of, because if you change there, the rezoning, you rezone to R3, then I don't know, 10 years from now, the school goes away, this is already R3. So someone can come here and try to build an apartment building, come change the land use, the zoning is there, and they come and they build a 4-story apartment building. If you do a special use permit to allow this school in a zoning district R1 that is not permitted, you preserve the integrity of the neighborhood that is all R1. Because once you give these R3, then the one across the street says, oh, the school has R3, I want R3, and then you start changing everything. So my recommendation is instead of the rezoning, to give a special use permit to allow the school on property zoned R1, and then with that, we have that wedge eliminated.
And we're okay with that. It gets us to where we want to go. And I know that this is new ground. The issue is the legislature passed the new law that says that if you have multifamily, commercial or industrial, you can come to the city and ask for the highest density within a mile. So a lot of the county, if you've seen it in the papers lately, Miami Beach, they had a big article. The people that have the Clevelander now want to put hundreds of units there. And this is going to go to court. This is going to go to court because a lot of the governments are saying, we can't do this. So we understand it and we're okay with the special use permit on the R1. That's fine with us.
So Deborah, if I understand you correctly, and I'm sorry,
That's okay.
what you're suggesting is a special use permit can be granted as long as it's tied to the school usage.
Well,
If down the road, 10 years from now, they decide that they want to sell and it's no longer a school, then the special use permit will.
no, the special use permit, to have a school on a property, you need to have a R3 zoning. On R1, you cannot have a school.
Right.
But instead of that, you can issue a special use permit to allow a use that is not permitted in that zoning district, the school, in this property zone R1. So the property remains as R1 and the special use permit is specifically to allow the school.
Right. Conditional upon the ownership and the operation of the school. Again, 10 years from now, they decide that they want to go out of there.
Yeah, well,
And then
someone may come, a church may come because they already have a major institutions, land use, will come and apply for a conditional use permit for a church. Or someone can decide, okay, I change the land use and I redevelop these as single family homes.
It'll still be zoned R1.
Because it will still
Right.
be zoned R1.
Yeah, because if you rezone it, it goes with the land.
If you rezone it, it goes with the land, and also then you will have other neighbors that say, oh, this property has R3, I am across the street from R3, so I want also to have R3, and then you start to change the whole neighborhood. And this is truly a residential neighborhood. So for the preservation of the neighborhood and also for the situation of the new state law, is
Right.
more prudent to leave this as an R1 and give them a special use permit.
Actually, I was wondering how much longer that empty lot was going to be there. Because I remember that lot from way.
Since 1944.
I don't want to date myself again like I did at last meeting, but
But it's not empty. It's big and large. It has a house used as a daycare.
I'm sorry, Ms. Mezza, go
That's
ahead.
okay. Mr. Cardoso is gonna do part of this presentation.
How do you do? Carlos Cardoso. I'm with Design Tech International. We're located at 14125 Northwest 80th Avenue, Suite 303. As Cesar mentioned, we've been working with Deborah and other areas of the building department with regards to this project. So when we're working, with this school, we understand that we need to be sensitive to the surrounding areas, the residential community that's there. So we did our best to push the building up to the corner and away from the residential areas as much as we could. You can see by the image that's being shown on the screen that to the east, we basically just have parking on one side, and we put the playground for the daycare to the north there, so that we can provide some kind of buffer between the house and the actual school, the homes in the area. We tried to maintain, as low density as possible in the sense of the size of the building and the massing. When we worked with fire with respect to how we were laying out the classrooms. They gave us a glowing recommendation on how we are moving all the kids out. This school has 4 separate stairwells for that purpose, to make sure that it's the utmost safety concern that we had was the kids. And we tried to be innovative because we're trying to get 58 parking spaces on a single family home site type lot. So we ended up creating a raised park playground for the elementary school kids over the parking that we're doing, providing shaded parking spaces as well. So with respect to one of those concerns that they had with parking and so forth, I think that, we've done all we can to provide as much parking on site. We provide all the stacking on site. So there should be no stacking whatsoever that impedes in the streets. And, with respect to some of the other issues that they brought up regarding sound and so forth, there's certain things that we can always do with some soundproofing on the building and even on the fence area, if we can, come up with some kind of creative way to try to minimize as much as possible. Right?
Thank you. One of the concerns that I have is, and you all know how this is when it comes to pick up and drop off of the kids. The traffic, the kids and noise but that's happening right now already. I really would hate to have that noise and that disruption amplified. How many students you have currently?
We're at the same. We're at 240, I believe. in
Okay, you're
daycare.
not, and according to the ordinance, you're gonna stay at.
Right, we're staying at 240.
Well, but now they don't have 240 because
They have less.
they have a smaller building.
81 now. 81. But they had the ability to go to 240.
Keep in mind, all the required stacking is inside their property. Nothing is going to be overflowing out into the street.
Okay.
You show the other slides, please. So you can see the next one. Did you already do the ones with the outside? No, I wasn't. Go ahead, next one. So you already did the one before that, okay.
You're talking about the rendering in the front?
Yeah, the rendering,
This one?
yeah, that one. As you can see, it's most of the buildings on Palm Avenue. And I wanted to address some of the issues that were brought up by the letter in opposition. The parking, we fully comply with parking and the traffic. If anything, we had the ability to do 240. By bringing in students now as opposed to daycare, there's going to be less staff because when the children are small, there's more requirement. You gotta have 4 teachers for this many kids. You gotta have 2 teachers for this. When they're in the grade, it's less staff. So we're actually reducing it by 25%. So I think this is something that is good for the neighborhood in light of the fact that there's been a daycare there since 1965. It's going to be good for the children. It's going to be something that they can be proud of attending this school. The playground on top of the parking, I think is amazing. So we would respectfully ask you for a recommendation of approval. I'd like anybody that's here that would like this to be approved to please stand up real quick. Thank you.
Thank
You
you.
can sit down.
Thank you.
And as I said, one of the owners is here to answer any type of questions that you may have at this time.
Okay,
So to be clear, what you're voting on as amended, Deborah, correct, is
You're-
not a rezoning.
Yeah, you're
It will
voting
remain
for-
R1 and you're voting for a approval or denial of a special use permit for the school and a maximum capacity of 71 students for a K through 5 elementary school and a capacity of 169 students for a daycare to equate to 240 total students.
thank you. Comments or questions from the board? No questions from the board? All right, at this time, I will open the floor for anyone in the audience that might want to come up and have a comment.
I have no idea who was sworn in and who was not.
Yeah, they were.
I was sworn in.
Name and address, please.
Hi, yes, my name is Efren Valdez. My parents bought the house right in front of the school, 1975. So I'm one of the neighbors that's totally against this. So why do I say that? All the signatures that you have there and all the people here, they don't live there. They don't know what's going on there. We do. There is no parking. We have to take the parking from the school because we can't park in our own place. And now you want to build a school with more people? Totally against it. Property values. How would you guys like to live in that neighborhood? How would you guys like to have a school in your neck of the woods like that? Would you like that? I don't think so. So totally against that. We all know what happened to the density in Hialeah on the other side of the Palmetto, don't we? I'm an old-time Hialeah cop, by the way, back in the day. Totally against it. Totally against it.
Thank you. One second.
What, I got 2 minutes?
Name and
Three
address, please.
minutes. Mike Rodriguez, 41 East 59th Street. Grandparents bought the house in 1973, been there for a long time. While I appreciate the argument made for the zoning change, I would strongly disagree with a lot of the points made. There's no way taking the capacity to 3 times of what it is today would at all be beneficial to parking. There's not a way that would be possible. The math doesn't work out. Secondly, I'd say he heard a night of conditions. I heard a night of broken promises. Back in 2008, they got the special use permit, did nothing with it, but have an illegal trailer on that property for the next 14 years. Currently, we're in a terrible financial position to go ahead and get financing. Interest rates are really, really high. Excuse me, I was really cold, lack of water. So, I would tell you from that perspective, I really question the intent on the use of this property. What's to stop them from being in a bigger school or maxing out the current structure to an even higher number, taking that 240 to 350? I don't know what the building capacity is. That's probably a good question for them. Secondly, I'll tell you, my grandpa is 85 years old. Pulling in and out of his driveway is already a nightmare. It's going to make it worse. All the new neighbors in the neighborhood didn't come here looking for a high density population neighborhood. They're looking for low density. As it is, Hialeah is really high density with all the exactly. So with all due respect, I really question a lot of the points made. You can tell they put a lot of thought and effort to it. Those signatures collected from the neighborhood were done within 48 hours. They had over a month to pull together those 185 signatures. We know those signatures were from the community because we pulled them ourselves. We don't know who those 185 people are. I'd ask the same audience, who in the audience that is for the school lives in the neighborhood? Stand up. I rest my case.
Good evening. My name is Sandy Palacios. I am the homeowner and resident of 10 East 60th Street. My yard is literally behind the daycare. As an educator myself for over 26 years, there's nothing more than I promote than education itself. However, as the homeowner and resident from the backyard that's literally back to this daycare, I strongly oppose the expansion because as it is, today I happen to take 59th Street all the way to Palm Avenue since I teach at Amelia Earhart Elementary. And going down the street, there was cars stalled in the street. There was cars pulled out of the swale where we had to wait. I had to wait to make a left turn onto Palm Avenue to go to pick up my son from high school because they were blocking the streets. So that's already an issue in itself. In addition, my son is a student at FIU, and when he's trying to study, we could hear the 71 students in the backyard, which is completely acceptable, given that the daycare has been there for so long. Now imagine 240 students. What peace and quiet or tranquility are we gonna have on days off? That I'm a teacher, I like to enjoy my summer. You're building a 2-story building. What kind of privacy am I gonna have in my backyard moving forward? 2 years of construction, that's dust, that's debris, I'm asthmatic. How is that fair? All those people that just stood up, none of them live in the backyard. They get to go home at 5 o'clock and not have to deal with it. They're working inside. It is completely unfair if this is approved. I don't plan to sell my home. I want to live there. I would like to retire, have 4 years to go. I was able to sign the opposition, but I would gladly sign it. I'm never home. I work the same school hours that there, but my son is home. So that's my piece. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. You want to switch mics, get this one here?
Hello, my name is Zachary Palacios. I live at 10 East 60th Street. And as well, my mother who just spoke said, it is true. There's so much noise with 71 supposed students. Well, I could attest that that does not sound like 71 students, to be honest. I'm certain there are more. All the parents you saw stand up, I've never seen them in the block. I've never seen them in the area. I ride my bike every day. I'm pretty sure I would have ran into at least 5% of them. But not even 1% have I ran into them. None of them live here. Now, we only found out about this today because we happened to see the down hearing sign in their property leaning on the floor. Never once did we ever see it. We also never got our hearing letter in the mail. And now, privacy, 2 stories. I live right behind them. I can't even go into my backyard during the day because I have to deal with the kids. I have to deal with the screaming. And then for years, I remember when I was younger, my parents, they had to ask them to please put up a solid fence in the back. Never did. It was only recently that they put in a small tarp to give some sort of privacy. Whether it is for their students or for us, I am unsure. But honestly, I feel like this is a very poor idea. My parents have owned that home since 1999. I am 23 years of age, and I've been there all my life. As of right now, I have no feelings of ill will against them, but I genuinely do not believe this is a great idea. I genuinely do not believe it is. That'll be all.
Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Josiel Ferrer Diaz. Unlike these neighbors that spoke here, I don't live in that neighborhood. But a lot of the people that you've seen here stand up today not only work here, but you also have parents here that need to work and actually depend on these services to be able to make and earn a living. The owner here also provides excellent service and has basically taken the shirt off her back from many of the parents that you see here. I'm a parent myself. She has also served the community by helping children with learning disabilities, low-income children, and people that have poverty status without necessarily asking for what the services would cost. I am in support of this, and I do sympathize with a lot of the neighbors, but this sounds a lot like not in my backyard. There's a lot of issues here in terms of not seeing what the benefit to the community, not the immediate community, but the community as a whole, to the city of Hialeah and to the members of the city of Hialeah. One of the things that I want to bring up and talks about traffic and things like that. I mean, Palm Avenue today has it actually in 2019 had 21,000 cars a day. Today has about 16,000, so it's lost like 20% of its traffic. When you add some of the traffic that's going to be added here, doesn't even represent 1% of what that street has today. So it's worth looking at benefit versus the sort of the return on investment on this. And it's important that this could be something great for the community, as opposed to something that some neighbors do oppose because of immediate impact, but are not looking at the greater benefit to those who are going to need it on an everyday basis. The other thing to mention is when you add the elementary school, there's also staggered drop-offs. So not everyone's going to be visiting the campus at the same time and dropping off at the same time. So that perceived impact of 240 cars, visiting there at the same time, that's not necessarily true. That will happen within a window. I'm not a professional in the field of schools, but I do know certain things about traffic. And I just, want to express my deep support for this. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
One suggestion that I have after listening to the neighbors is that maybe that playground on the ground floor that is next to the adjacent neighbor to the north, since you're going to reduce the daycare, you can remove one or two of the classrooms on the first floor and move that playground to the south of the building. Because it's true that having a playground with kids that go out to play during the day, the noise is annoying.
Deborah, as you know, there's certain requirements that we have to meet, for state requirements on playground area. Right now, we're already using them in shifts to be able to meet that with the size of the playgrounds that we have. So,
well, but since you're going to have less students, because from 199, you're going to go to 169. So you will have
from 270 to 240.
To 240, but you will have less daycare kids. So maybe you get rid of some of the classrooms that you have on the first floor for the daycare and you move the playground somewhere else. Instead of having it so close to the neighbor, I feel sorry for the neighbor.
As I said, I don't have an issue trying to look in other ways where we can try to reduce sound. With the fencing that we're going to be putting in, if you permit a higher fence, we can go to an 8-foot fence. And that would allow to, help with noise mitigation.
Well, that requires a variance. So to have a higher fence, that would require a variance. So Alex, to do that, we need to re-advertise.
They would need to reapply and re-advertise.
Yeah.
What I would say is that although the daycare's been there since 1964, there has never been an effort that I know of to reduce the noise for the neighbors. There's never been a landscape, a plush landscape requirement, the wall requirement, all of those things. And I remember Cardoso saying that he would look into, and then we can put this in the declaration, into soundproofing as much as we can. So different alternatives that have never been looked at, because I guess somebody never really took this into account. But I understand that, and I wouldn't want to be next to a playground without any type of noise abatement either. So what we can do is, Carlos, can we have some proposals for soundproofing the playgrounds by the next meeting on the October 10th? So we will do that to see what we can do. And as far as parking and traffic, I mean, I think this is a better situation because everything is contained within our property. It's not going to be on the swale. It's not going to be on anywhere else. It's going to be on our property, contained there, We have enough parking per the code as to what we need. We're not asking for a parking variance. The stacking is in our property, so I think it's gonna be better than it has been, because it was kind of put after the fact. It was a house, then it became a daycare, and it kind of just like a lot of places, it doesn't really have the infrastructure that it needed. And that's what we're trying to correct at this point.
I have one more question for you. I'm trying to look at the plans here. Where exactly are you planning to have the play area?
Here,
The round,
and there's one of that one. There is one here,
Right.
and then there is one on top of this. Here.
Right.
On the second floor. Here.
For the younger
Second floor
kids,
and the first.
we're
floor.
proposing the daycare area up here.
right,
And for the older kids, we're creating a playground over the parking area. About as far as we can get away from the residences.
But there's a property next to that playground in the first.
There- There is a property here, yes. And this is where we're saying that we'll explore other areas of noise mitigation that we can do there.
yeah, the one. That one right there, I'm concerned with,
Mhm.
because that's right adjacent to the neighbors behind you. The other playground in the center of the property, we can work with that.
What you can do here, since you're going to have less children, if you remove these two classrooms and make this a wall, like an 8-foot wall, and you put here some kind of fence, you make here like a patio type of thing, a playground, will be covered by the second story, which is good because they will have shade, and then you eliminate that from there and you leave that as a yard. And if you need another classroom, you put the other classroom here. That's our solution that is easy to do.
Does that make sense to you? Again, the concern is that.
I need to work with the numbers just to make sure, because there's certain number of preschool that we're trying to get on the ground floor as much as possible. Having them on the second floor, is more complicated. We did work, we do have some preschool on the second floor, the older kids, which is why we added more stairwells. I understand that we are reducing it by a number of 30. What you were looking at right now, what you were suggesting is 50,
No,
so,
it's 40, this is 20 and 21 is 41.
okay.
So if you remove these two classrooms and you remove the playground in the back, you can build one more classroom in the back for the 9 children that you are losing in this, and you have that playground there in the front, and you eliminate that problem of having it too close to a home.
Right, and like I said, I just need to go back and play with the numbers and see what I can do, yes.
And again,
Mhm.
I mean, I like the proposal, but my concern is the neighbors, the noise of the kids playing, this playground right up against their, this will be on the north side of the property,
Right.
correct?
Yes,
Right. The neighbors on the other side of the street there, directly behind this playground, they're gonna hear the noise. Now, is it possible to perhaps move that playground closer or to the center of the property, or like where you have the older kids playground proposed? Something where a structure around the playground would act as a noise buffer for the neighbors behind.
well,
Again, I know right now you're not gonna sit there and doodle it right there, but something to consider.
I will definitely go back and take a look and see what I could do.
Okay, and that will also alleviate some of the concerns that the neighbors have. Even the neighbors have, they're already saying too many kids, too many cars. If all of that is within code, I'm concerned about the special use permit, the rezoning. I already mentioned that. But something that I'm sure that you sharpen your pencil and put it down on paper, I'm sure you can move around the design and try to get the kids as far away from the neighbors as possible and still contain them within the property. It'll mitigate some of the noise. And let's face it, kids can get loud.
Yes, they can.
Diego,
Yes, sir.
may
Go
I?
ahead.
How about instead of being an outside playground for the kids, for the smaller kids, can it be an indoor playground? Is that
Buenas tardes, yo voy a hablar español para que mis padres me entiendan. Oh, I have to talk in English? Okay, my name is Jonaike Miranda. I'm the owner of Children's Paradise. Let me show you this so you can understand what I'm saying now. Right now, we are not considering that I have a license for 81 children, and those children already have a park where they are, right? If Deborah's recommendation is approved, they would automatically limit my 240 children, which was approved in 2008, because children and families require 45 square foot per child. So that means if you take only this small park for the park, I won't have a license of 240 children, and that's by law. So right now we are going to, if you see this part, the elementary school children are going to be on the top. So this is the only thing that we're changing. You think up there, they're going to receive noise? I have the school over, like like I welcome you to go to the school, and you would see like their kids, they're going to be screaming, but they don't go outside at the same time. They go at different times to the park, which means they're not going to have 240 kids screaming, because half of the capacity is elementary school. They're going to be in their classrooms inside the school. So why limit our children to not have a big playground where they're able to play? Those are only for the daycare children, because the elementary are going to be in the second floor, which they're not going to receive any noises. Plus, we are building concrete around the whole building, which we don't have now. We have a fence now. That's what they probably hear some noise. Another thing, right now we only have like 12 parking spaces. The city required me to build almost 50 spaces. You know how comfortable that's going to be for the neighborhood? Like if you see, how many? 58, almost 60. So 58 parking space, not even outside, in the inside. Look at this part over here. Where's the other picture that? No, the other picture that they can see that the parking space is going to be even in the second floor, like it's here in the city. Like no one now knows what's going on here, because everything is indoor. Even the parking space is indoor. So they're going to have a quality of parking spaces. They're not right now. They're having more problems. But when we build the school, they're not going to have any problem. The parking space is going to be inside the building, like totally, and go with concrete walls. So I would appreciate if you would consider the school, because like traffic wise, they're not going to have any problem. And our students need a better quality of life there. They live there 12 hours a day to 13 hours a day. I serve special kids students in all of my schools, and they deserve better. I would appreciate if you consider to approve the school for the benefit of the students. And I wanted to talk in Spanish because my customers in Hialeah, 90%, they only speak Spanish. So when you were asking where are the neighbors here, they couldn't understand what you were saying. But all of the kids that goes to Children's Paradise are neighbors around the area. Why would they drive far if they live in the area? So they're neighbors. And the letters that you have there, you have the address of that's confirmed. Okay, I'm not inventing those letters. You can call each neighbor and you can talk to each parents that is here, and they can give you proof of what I'm saying.
Okay, thank you. Point noted. I hear what you're saying. I understand it. I feel your passion. There's still one, as far as I am concerned, there's still one very strong concern. And that is you haven't built that beautiful building yet. That's still a design. That's still a rendering. Okay. There is still time to move stuff around within the property, especially when all it takes is a pen and a piece of paper, okay? Redesign it, move it around, and then run your numbers, okay?
To the chair,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to motion if we could table this matter.
I was gonna get to that, but I
Let
wanted
them
to-
have an opportunity to go back to the drawing board and let the residents of the area get advertisement again.
Right.
So if there are more residents that are in disagreement with this project, they could all come.
Right.
Because from what I'm seeing right now, I wouldn't want this by my neighborhood, to be honest with you.
Well,
I'm a homeowner. I would hate to have this next to my house. And I feel for the residents of Hialeah as a homeowner. And we keep destroying our homes and get rid of our R1s. We need to keep our homes and save them. And that's what I'm for. And I understand that she wants to do a building and everything, but we've destroyed enough of our homes already than what we keep going for right now. I'd like to save our-
That's what I was trying to
So I would like
enlighten
to
you.
motion to table
Okay,
this.
One second. We do have a motion, but
Chair,
go ahead.
as far as the traffic is concerned, maybe.
I'm sorry,
Well, we have-
Mr.
we
Gamon,
have-
there's a motion on the table. If you want to continue the conversation, we can continue the conversation, but there is a motion on the table. If it's not seconded,
I
then
second that motion.
then
You
the
second
clerk should
the
call the roll.
I second the motion.
Thank you.
So motion by Mr. Ulloa, second from Mr. Jimenez. Mr. Iglesias,
Yes.
Mrs. Enriquez,
Yes.
Mr. Jimenez,
Yes.
Mr. Ulloa,
Yes.
Mr. D. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Ramon,
Yes.
items has been tabled.
Okay. Item has been tabled right now because there's still too many loose items, too many concerns with the neighbors, too many concerns for us. And like as I was trying to explain to you, you're at a stage where pen, paper, doodle around a little bit, change the design, and then run the numbers. If the numbers work out for you, then there you go. It's a new design. Considering the neighbors. Considering the neighbors. I'm not saying no, okay? I'm not saying no to you. I'm not saying yes to you, okay? I'm saying, let's go back to the drawing board. Let's work on. Obviously, there's still some issues in this item. Mr. Ulloa, he wanted, he proposed a table. I agree with him. The whole board agrees with him. It gives you an opportunity to be better. Okay?
Sure. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
maybe since going back to the drawing board, maybe an idea, like, for example, the school that my son goes to, they have like, as in the concern for the residents with the traffic, maybe you could have even a police officer that, they could hire like to maybe help out with the traffic, or maybe a staff from the school. Just so it can maybe kind of like, I understand, the city keeps growing and there's more people, but maybe with the school expanding, maybe they could, with a staff, or like I said, a police officer that you guys could hire, because if it's only, an hour of drop off in total and an hour of pickup, maybe, where it can help out, maybe at least flow the traffic a little bit more, just maybe an idea I could give, because I noticed.
Now
When they
we've heard the concerns,
When they start-
we've heard the board,
Yeah.
and we'll get back to the drawing board and come back with.
And
Something.
also, there is a traffic study that was
Pass the,
submitted.
The paperwork.
My recommendation is to revise this traffic study because the numbers are incorrect. Because it says existing daycare, 25 students, elementary school, 15 students, and the proposed is 41 students for.
Yeah,
the
that
daycare.
was from 2.5 years ago.
Yeah. So maybe you should revisit this
Yeah.
and do a serious traffic
Okay.
study.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you very much.
It's a beautiful design. Let's bring it to fruition. Let's all get together. Let's work on it and come to a happy meeting.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you.
So item number 6 has been tabled until October 25th. Yes, I will re-advertise it
Okay.
and send.
All right, for those of you that didn't understand. For those of you that didn't understand, okay? The item has been tabled. That means they're gonna go back to the drawing board. They're gonna come up with some other options, okay? They're gonna bring it back when?
October 25th.
Okay, October 20, whatever she
Fifth.
said. All right. That means you are all invited to come back. This item will be re-advertised. Okay, so you're all invited like you are right now and speak your mind. Okay, este caso ha sido pospuesto para la próxima reunión. Pues hay unos detallitos que no caen bien con nosotros, con ustedes. Ellos van a reconsiderar la aplicación, a modificar unas cosas en la aplicación, en el diseño, tratando de llegar a un acuerdo con ustedes. Ha sido pospuesto para el próximo 2 semanas.
No, it will be va a ser octubre 25.
Octubre 25, ok. Recuerden, van a anunciarlo de nuevo, este caso. Cuando venga el tiempo, regresen aquí para que ustedes presten su opinión. ¿Ok? Ok. Thank you. Ok, todavía quedan más casos. Por favor, traten de mantener un poquito de silencio. Okay.
Item number 7. Special use permit to allow a research health center to operate in a 918 square feet bay within an existing strip mall with a maximum of 4
Okay,
patients.
You want to do a break real quick until
Yeah,
the
5
clear?
minute break until they.
5-minute break.
Yeah.
All right, let's resume the meeting. We only have two items left, so.
Item number 7, special use permit to allow the Research Health Center to operate in a 918 square feet bay within an existing strip mall with a maximum of 4 patients per day and 5 staff members. Property is located at 3810 West 12th Avenue, Hialeah Zone C2, Liberal Retail Commercial District. Applicant Alexander Montaner de Mesa.
Were you sworn in?
No, I don't.
Okay. He'll swear you in.
You swear affirm to tell the truth before this board?
Yes.
Thank you. Name and address, please.
Alexander Montana, 450 West 55th Street, Hialeah, Florida.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, again. The property in this application is a 918 square feet bay within a 2-story, 90,000 square feet shopping plaza located on the west side of West 12th Avenue, north of West 37th Street. The property has commercial land use and C2 zone. The applicant is before the city with a proposal to establish an outpatient research health center at the subject bay. The proposed facility will conduct clinical research studies on drugs, medical devices and tools, diagnostic tests, medical techniques, and medical technology. The facility will also provide individual and group education to help understand medicine and health and to understand needs for new medical equipment and medications. Since research facilities are not mentioned as an allowed use in the code and the way research is conducted might impact the normal operation of business in the shopping plaza, a special use permit is required in this type of facilities. When research subjects are convocated via media and offer payment, the significant amount of people that might participate may negatively impact traffic, parking, and pedestrian accessibility in the shopping plaza. The applicant explains in a submitted letter of intent that the expected outpatient daily visit will be limited to 4 patients per day and the maximum number of staff in the facility will be 5 people. Given that the maximum proposed number of patients and staff is consistent with the capacity of other commercial uses that are allowed by right at this location, such as a medical office or adult daycare, the special use permit for an outpatient medical research facility could be allowed with the following conditions: maximum of 5 employees and maximum of 4 patients per day. Patients coming to the facility will have scheduled appointments. No walk-ins will be allowed. No promotion aimed to attract crowds into the shopping plaza will be pursued by the proposed business. Recommendation: approve the special use permit with conditions.
Thank you.
Yes.
Comments or questions?
No.
You understood?
Yeah, I understand.
Recommendation, you got no
Yes.
comments or questions with the board?
For the chair, what are you researching? Oh, well, what are you researching? What are you doing there?
We are, what we building is a research to try new equipment. The company contacts us to try on patients so they can improve their life. For example, a speedometer for a patient that used to smoke for many years. So we try to see if they improve on different either medication or equipment. That's one of the samples. It could be another medical equipment like monitors or also medications. That's what we.
So this is not a clinic. This is just a research.
A research. Well, we call it a research clinic because patients go there. They're not gonna stay. They're not gonna stay.
So you're not affiliated with La Familia that's on the first floor?
Oh, no, not at all. No.
Thank you.
Usually for medicines or medical equipment to be approved, they need to have a certain amount of testing
Exactly.
and results. So that's what they do.
Okay,
So they come to the conclusion that is good for the patient.
thank you. So I just was, because I look at the
No, it's
location.
okay, no
I
worries.
just wanted to see if you guys were affiliated with the medical center that's already there.
Oh,
the
no.
Shopping center.
No.
So you're not, right?
Thank you, John. Any more comments or questions? Anyone in the audience?
I need to be sworn in.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth before this board?
I do.
Okay. Name and address, please.
My name is Karen Diaz. I live at 3880 West 11th Avenue. And I have a few questions because I just received this card last week on Friday, I believe it was. I went around, I'm not a very talkative person, throughout my neighborhood, but I do know a few neighbors that I do say hi to them. And of the 5 that I went, only 3 have gotten the card. And the neighbors on the other side, they didn't get the card for this board. So anyway, they were under the understanding that, okay, what are we gonna go? They're just gonna approve it. So I'm here so that you guys could at least listen to what I have to say regarding that. I don't understand why do we need to have a research facility in Hialeah? First of all, I mean, there's plenty of clinics in Hialeah, more than enough to say. We have many people here. We don't need to add more stress to this. So my thing is, and at the risk of being laughed at, okay, we all know where coronavirus came from. Wuhan Institute in China, right? What was it? A research center. What kind of drugs are they researching there? What plan do they have, to have in place if there's, an adverse reaction to a drug? Because they're not telling you what drugs they're going to use. They're talking about medical equipment. Okay, fine, medical equipment, okay, but what kind of drugs are they using? What is their backup plan when somebody, has an adverse reaction? What about si un loco, some kind crazy guy crosses the street, because I'm right there, And I actually was in my backyard I remember that guy that killed his mom and his sister. That guy was the next townhouse to my house. So imagine what we had to live through 6 months. I don't want to go through that again. And my daughter was there. We had a really bad, with that crazy guy. So we don't want to go through that again. The other thing that I wanted to ask, okay, how do they plan to dispose this so-called research? What regulations do you guys have in place to ensure that they're not disposing, stuff that could make us sick? Everybody has seen this movie from Sandra Bullock. What's the name of it? I forgot the name. Niña, la gatita te gusta. La que gente cogen cancer. You remember that they were throwing stuff. I mean, that was a legal case in the US years ago. I mean, how are they gonna, I don't want to have cancer in 10 years because they're disposing of something and nobody's regulating how they're disposing this, whatever drugs they're using there. So basically there's a lot of questions that I have that I don't have answers to. My neighbors didn't even know about this. So I don't know, just think about it, please, before you approve something that could harm all of us.
Well,
that's just what I have to say.
Let me explain you. To run that activity, they need to go to the license department, obtain a license, and they need the approval from the health department. They need some kind of professional license. So we are not here evaluating that. What we are evaluating here from the zoning point of view is if in this shopping center in one of the bays, there is the capacity for them to run that business professionally, as will be verified before issuing the license, with 5 staff members and 4 patients that will be scheduled by.
And what is
that is what we are considering now.
Okay,
Then the rest is the Department of Health that will take care of that, DERM that will take care of the disposal of the material that cannot be disposed anywhere. So those are kinds of professional responsibilities that will be verified when they are issued their license. And also, I'm sure that when the state issues them the license to have the research center, they go through all that requirements and provisions.
Well, I appreciate you explaining that. Just think about it, because what is gonna stop them from, I've seen on the case before that they were like refiling to add more kids. So what is gonna prevent them to refile and add more patients?
Well, they can come, file it, and we will consider it again. The same way we consider the other case, and we said, you came in 2008, you promised that you were going to build a facility, you never built it. So we tabled it and we asked for different things, and the neighbors came and opposed it the same way. It's a democratic process. So if they want to expand and use 3 more bays, and the neighbors, even the neighbors in the shopping center, see what they are doing, they bring a lot of people, if they are not good neighbors, they will come here and they will oppose. That's why the process is open to everyone.
Well, I oppose because of the reasons that I said. And also because if we're talking about traffic, they're doing Cano Health right there that, imagine with the traffic that we already have, Cano Health. So more people here, another clinic here. I mean, there's clinics everywhere.
So just think about that for a minute. And my mom doesn't speak English, so I don't know if she can speak Spanish or if I can
Yes,
translate
she
for
can
her.
speak Spanish.
Okay, mom, ¿tú quieres decir algo? Thank you.
And she's gonna need to be sworn in. She needs to be sworn in out there. She came in afterwards.
It's a professional thing.
Nombre, primero que nada, necesitamos que usted preste juramento.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth before this board?
¿Usted jura que va a decir la verdad?
Sí,
Solamente la verdad.
juro, claro que
Ok,
sí.
gracias. Nombre y dirección.
Mi nombre es Maurín Lobo Abrantes. Vivo en el 1140 West 39 Terras, en Hialeah, a solamente 3 cuadras de donde ellos quieren abrir ese local de investigación. Yo
She
con
don't-
el
she only
permiso-
lives about 3 blocks from the
Only 3 blocks, yes. Les pido disculpas porque el inglés que yo hablo no es fluente y por eso pido la oportunidad de expresarme en español. Yo quería comunicarles a ustedes que cuando yo recibí esta tarjetica, yo me preocupé mucho. Porque una de las cosas que dice aquí es permitir un centro de salud de investigación.
Un momentico,
Pero
por favor. When she received the card,
Sí.
she was very concerned because it piqued her interest because basically it said that to reconsider a research center in the neighborhood.
Ajá. Entonces, sin embargo, al final del segundo párrafo, dice que esto ellos lo van a poner en el C2 Liberal Retail Commercial District, de manera que lo van a poner en un distrito comercial.
She's concerned
Y
that
esto-
the proposal was for a C2 commercial zoning.
Ajá. Entonces, yo quiero que ustedes sepan que en esa misma línea de donde ellos quieren poner ese centro de investigación, apenas una cuadra y media nada más de ese lugar, hay un shopping donde hay un sedano, hay un bakery, hay restaurantes, todo eso. De manera que yo quiero decirle, yo soy una paciente de cáncer, yo tuve cáncer y sé lo que son las emisiones y sé perfectamente bien.
Her concern is that right down the street from where this proposed application is, there's there's another shopping center with a grocery store, a bakery, and other restaurant, right? And that she's concerned because her being a cancer patient, she is aware that these type of businesses can emit radiation or it can emit toxins in the air.
Entonces yo quiero que ustedes tomen en cuenta cómo puede uno ir a comprar alimentos saludables o ir a un bakery a comprar el conocido pan cubano. Apenas una cuadra y media nada más de un lugar donde él no está aclarando qué tipo de instrumentos ellos van a usar, que al seguro eso tiene emisiones en el aire. Y al seguro también emisiones.
Señora, como yo ya expliqué, eso es un tema que no estamos considerando. Ese es un tema, ellos van a tener una licencia profesional que les va a otorgar el Estado y van a tener una revisión por el Departamento de Salud y por el Departamento de Medio Ambiente. Lo que estamos considerando acá es si el tipo de negocio que ellos quieren poner en un shopping center con 5 empleados y 4 personas viniendo como pacientes con appointment, si si eso es adecuado para ese lugar, que es un shopping center comercial. Nada más que eso, todas las consideraciones de salud se las agradezco, pero no estamos nosotros en ese negocio ni tenemos la capacidad de evaluarlo. Así
Entonces,
que gracias por la preocupación y debemos enfocarnos en lo que nos están preguntando, que si en ese shopping center puede haber algo que sería como una clínica médica. Lo que hagan o no hagan es el Estado y las agencias que controlan las diferentes cosas que van a ver si es algo que le pueden otorgar o no.
le
Así que
agradezco,
muchas gracias.
le agradezco mucho su explicación, pues en este caso yo le agradecería aún más que a personas como yo, inclusive cerca de ese centro hay una escuela de preescolar a quinto, que esos niños también van a estar recibiendo todas esas emisiones. Pero en vista de la aclaración que le agradezco usted me ha dado, también déjenos saber esos lugares o esas agencias o lo que quiera que sea como se llamen, para nosotros poder tener alcance a esos, y si es necesario llegar a ellas, y si es necesario llegar a Tallahassee o al lugar que sea para expresar las preocupaciones válidas que nosotros tenemos. Yo le agradecería mucho a todos ustedes que los vecinos nos hicieran llegar todas estas cosas, porque no me parece que esto debe terminar aquí, empezando que esto dice que eso es una zona comercial.
Muchas gracias.
Y ellos van a hacer una cosa de salud e investigación. Eso no es una cosa comercial.
Muchas gracias.
Les agradezco mucho que me hayan escuchado.
For the records, what we explain is that the professional credentials will be examined by the agencies, the Department of Health and DERM, to verify that everything is in order. We are just limiting our scope to the zoning.
To the building space.
Through the chair.
Good.
Aquí lo que estamos haciendo es para ver si el parqueo, la licencia, el negocio puede estar en ese lugar adecuadamente, no lo que van a probar, pero tal vez el caballero pueda explicar si lo que están probando es un brazo prostético que no tiene nada que ver con un virus, para que ustedes estén más tranquilos. Yo también vivo cerca, a mí me gustaría escuchar.
Bueno, yo se lo agradezco mucho, pero de todas maneras, fíjese,
Ok, señora.
yo caminaba por ahí.
Ya, gracias.
El muchacho va a explicar lo que va a hacer. Gracias.
Él no ha hecho explicaciones.
Y es muy bonito ver 3 generaciones así juntas.
One of the questions that you need to be more forthcoming about is you talking about equipment, testing equipment.
Equipment. There's
Okay.
not gonna be radiation at all.
Okay, you talking also, are you
I'm an
are you gonna be
FMP. I work
testing
on the,
medications, drugs, that type of?
yes, we're gonna try drugs, but it's gonna be from the pharmacy directly. And it's gonna be monitored by the CDC, FDA. So we're gonna have all those agencies involved with us. If they don't approve it, we don't try anything. We're not gonna build the medication. We're not gonna prepare any medication. It comes straight from the pharmacy already tried from them. So they already approve it. They already approve it from FDA. So then we use it. It's not gonna be, it's not gonna be something that we invented. It's not gonna be the radiation at all either. So it's not gonna be any equipment with MRI or anything like that. And also disposal of any biomedical is gonna be from the company who's become everything. So we are under health department. We have all the license. We have doctors as well in case any of the patient have any reaction. I'm the owner. I'm an FMP and I work under supervisor license, and they're gonna be doctors in there. So it's not gonna be just like that, like crazy.
Do you mind saying that in Spanish so she understands?
Esto va a estar supervisado por doctores. Nosotros vamos a trabajar por debajo del CDC y el FDA. And it should be approved. Cualquier cosa que nosotros hagamos allí en el centro tiene que ser aprobado por el CDC y FDA. So nosotros no vamos a hacer nada, ni es un experimento de patología, ni nada. Son equipos que no tienen ni radiación, ni es un MRI que tiene resonancia, ni nada. Son equipos simplemente como un plástico que se usan los pacientes que tienen problemas de los pulmones, no tienen radiación ni nada. Son pacientes que tienen condiciones como la de usted, señora, que simplemente cáncer de pulmones o personas que han fumado, que van allí a probar un equipo a ver si sobreviven su condición, a ver si se ayudan de este nuevo equipo. Y eso lo hemos tenido todo.
Okay.
Pero
Thank you.
es una zona comercial.
All right, thank you. Comments, questions?
Nope.
Motion.
Okay. All right, is there anyone in the electronic audience that have a comment or question on this item? Closes the public hearing. What's the pleasure of the motion?
Motion to approve
Second that motion. With conditions, obviously.
with condition.
Yeah, with those conditions.
Okay, so motion by Mr. Iglesias. Second by Mr. Jimenez. Mr. D. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Ramon,
Yes.
Mr. Iglesias,
Yes.
Mrs. Enriquez,
Yes.
Mr. Jimenez.
Yes.
Mr. Ulloa.
Yeah.
Item has been approved with conditions.
Thank you. Okay, we need to go to,
item
Save the
number
best for last.
yeah, I need to go to Lasarte's, item 3.
Oh, is he around? Yeah, he's
Maybe you
Oh.
want to do like a 30 minutes break and then we go back. 45-minute.
Let's just deal with this at the next hearing.
Come on, Alex. Let's, come on, Felix, let's get it.
Yeah.
What was the name of the movie?
Erin Brockovich. It was Julia
Oh
Roberts.
my God, oh, that's.
It wasn't Sandra Bullock. It was Julia Roberts.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was a good presentation. They're good family. You
Okay,
guys did
we
a
need
great
to, we
presentation.
need to swear you in, Felix. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Name and address, please.
Felix Asarte with offices at 3250 Northeast First Avenue.
Thank you. The item was already read into the.
I already read the recommendation to the records. The recommendation is approval, and I explained that is for the consolidation of the property where the new Navarro will be built.
Is this gonna be considered like a land swap?
The land swap was already considered and approved by the city council, a little portion.
Yes.
There are many things involved.
There's
One of
many-
these,
yeah, there's
yes, many little pieces, yes.
Mr. Chairman, just very briefly, I think, I brought these pictures in front of you so you could see what exactly you're approving today. If you go to the first page, it shows an entire site, right? And you can see that it's highlighted as Park Drive. And what we're going to try to do is a partial road closing of Park Drive. Park Drive right now is like a dead end road. It doesn't really connect to Lejeune Road or anything. And it actually just serves the properties that we're actually going to purchase, which is the area where the hotel exists and where the auto store is at. So if you look at the second page, we have the area highlighted in blue, the road closing portion. So what happens is that piece, half of it will revert to us. The other half reverts to the city. The remainder of the road stays public. And then the road is going to connect to Hialeah Drive to Lejeune Road. And then that'll be one of the entrance points. But the portion that connects to Southeast 8th Court is going to be vacated to become part of our parking lot. And you could see from the site plan that we prepared in color, you could see how it all plays in. So you're going to have the CVS Navarro. You're going to have the area that's landscaped as it exists today, which is where the existing FDOT swale is. You're going to have the Three Friends Park along with the area where you have the monuments for the city. And then we're going to have parallel parking that's available for the new park that's going to be created along Southeast 12th Street. I've also included lastly, the last page, and I think you've seen this before, which is what the color scheme and what the mural is for the Navarro, which is, it'll have like a big mural. The mayor's office insisted on it. So it's like a welcome to Hialeah.
Yeah, I can't approve that this new color scheme. I like the old yellow one.
Yeah, you like the old yellow. Well, that's very popular.
Deborah will have a nightmare.
Yeah.
So no more cafeteria?
No, yeah, what about the cafeteria?
So the Navarro did not want La Cafetera. What they agreed to do the mural and to obviously change the color scheme for that.
Man.
color. Yeah, which is good. I think it'll be nice.
Yeah, that
You like the
cafeteria, man.
cafeteria?
Yeah.
Well, actually, it's funny because actually, I think that's ultimately it's gonna end up as being like a flamingo. What's gonna be there with like a welcome to Hialeah thing.
But an
That's what
actual
we're gonna-
functioning cafeteria, not just a,
Yeah, one yeah.
that would be bad. I mean,
Well,
that
that's-
would be
listen.
really, really unique. An actual cafe, you pull up to the cafeteria with a little window. And I noticed you got your way to changing the color.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no yellow.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Felix. Comments or questions? Anyone in the audience? Anyone in the electronic audience? All right, who's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve. Second that motion.
Motion by Mr. Ramon, second by Mr. Iglesias and Mrs. Enriquez. Mr. Jimenez,
Yes.
Mr. Ulloa,
I don't know, man, no cafetera.
No.
Yes.
Mr. Iglesias,
Yes.
Mr. D. Perez,
Yes.
Mrs. Enriquez. Yes. Mr. Ramon,
Yes.
item has been approved.
Thank you. Thank
One
you.
question to the chair, please, if you don't mind. Yeah, sure. Can we at least get one of the flamingos? Because I know we have these flamingo statues all over the city. But how about the statue? We have flamingo statues around the city, maybe one of those?
That's another area.
Yeah,
We are past the era of the.
you gotta ask the
Oh,
city
the
planner
flamingo
who
statues.
has a lot of input into how this thing's looking.
How about Don Quixote?
Don Quixote stays.
It's
They-
there.
they,
Don
Don Quixote stays. Don Quixote stays.
All right, all right. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Miscellaneous items now requiring advertisement. Item number 8, tentative plat of Lago Vista.
This is a property in Hialeah Heights. It's on 102nd Street, north of 142nd Street. All the different departments reviewed the T-plat, and it's recommended for approval with no objections. So the recommendation is.
Okay. Comments or questions? Anyone in the audience? Anyone in the electronic audience? All right, what's the pleasure of the board? Motion to approve?
Okay. Motion by Mr. Iglesias, second by Mrs. Enriquez and Mr. Ramon. Mr. D. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Ulloa,
Yes.
Mr. Jimenez,
Yes.
Mrs. Enriquez. Yes. Mr. Iglesias,
Yes.
Mr. Ramon,
Yes.
item has been approved. Item number 9, old business. No old business. Item number 10, new business.
I have a question. You just mentioned it and it got me going again. I hate the name Hialeah Heights. I live in that area. Is there any way or anything we could do to propose a different name like Hialeah Lakes? Or West Lakes, like the school is called in that area? Is there any way that we could call it something different than Hialeah Heights?
Well, and when we had the tour for the kickoff of the master plan, and I told that to the group that is doing the design, so we'll think about that, but that comes from the administration, it's not our call.
Because everything that I've heard of Heights, it's not like the best neighborhoods when it's something Heights. You know, associated with a bad neighborhood, and I hate living there and they're calling it Hialeah Heights. But I'd rather be just Hialeah than Hialeah Heights, because either we're one city, or why are we being called something different when we should just be one city?
Well, the district is called like that, it's still Hialeah, it's Hialeah.
Yeah.
The district in the zoning code is called Hialeah, the Art Leaf district is called Alwood.
Yeah, I get you, but is there any way that we could
West Hialeah?
make West Hialeah?
Hialeah Beach.
We'll,
Hialeah, I like that.
we'll give your message to the administration.
Hialeah Lakes
And-
or something, you know?
And another item, the next meeting, we're moving it to October 4th because there was some things that need to be advertised, and because these September meetings were kind of weird, the dates, we were asked by the administration to change it to October 4th. So if you agree, we need a vote and the approvals.
Yeah, okay. Motion
to agree?
motion to agree.
Motion by Mr. Iglesias,
Yeah.
second by who seconded? Second by Mr. Ramon. Ms. Enriquez?
You got a third one right here.
Mr. Iglesias?
Yes.
Mr. Jimenez?
Yes.
Mr. Ulloa?
Yes.
Mr. D. Perez?
Yes.
Mr. Ramon?
Yes.
All right, I'm sorry. So October 11th has been moved to October 4th.
Okay, that's it. Anything else? Meeting's adjourned.